We're excited to be joined today by our keynote speaker, Carmen Payne. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Carmen, and Carmen's waving to us. Let's see, Carmen is sharing with us strategies for motivation, engagement as you work together with your teams. So whether you're working from home and you've got an online team, or you're a corporate gal working with teams, or even just your teams in life general, I know that we'll be able to gather some really great nuggets there. The Women in Leadership mission statement is to empower, propel women into business success through education, networking, and mentor programs. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Our education and mentoring sponsors are Toyota Financial and Intel Corporation. Showcase sponsor, PayPal, our venue sponsor. I say this every month. Soho, we are excited that we can get back there sooner than later. So say your prayers, girls. Our supporting sponsor, APS, supporting sponsor, Wells Fargo Bank. I also want to take a moment to give a shout out to the Women in Leadership Committee for putting on this wonderful event every single month. So I'll start with our incoming chair, Debbie Isilis. I say your name incorrectly every time, but you know I love you. So if you can just wave. Debbie is going to be our incoming chair. Our co-chair, Lisa Scott. So if you can wave.
Hey, everyone.
There you are. Crystal Blackwell with crystal clear.
I had mine on a paper.
After lunch, we will have time to maybe do one, and I'll find one that you can do crayon, guys.
Okay.
Mama, I want to have this.
Ladies, if we could please put our
Have this on my picture and make another one.
Renee, I think Renee. Carly, can you put Renee on mute? Thank you. Sorry, gals. You know, and I know Renee, and she's got a little one back here, right? So she's doing her homeschooling and running her business too. So we all know and feel that. So Lisa Scott with PayPal, who will be our co-chair, Madhu Chadha with WSI Optimized Web Solutions, and Ebony Hatfield with Hatfield Medical Group. If you want to raise your hand there, Ebony. Crystal King with Arbonne. Where's Chris? There she is. And Andrea Marconi with Fenmore, Craig, Dowling, Aaron. Like I said, today is our final Women in Leadership event for 2020. Hasn't this been quite a year, right? It's been great to see you all on Zoom, but I can hardly wait to see you in person. And beginning next month, we will be led by our incoming Women in Leadership Committee Chair, Debbie Isilis, and with Intel, and our co-chair, Lisa Scott, who I just introduced with PayPal. It's been wonderful having the opportunity, oh my goodness, get a little, whew. It's been wonderful having the opportunity to lead the Women in Leadership Committee this year, and I trust that the committee is in great hands. So thank you, ladies. I've appreciated, and I'll say more later, but it's been a great year. Now, I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Carmen Payne. Carmen M. Payne is a business strategy execution specialist and trusted advisor to CEOs for over 30 years for corporate America and 7 years with her own business, Champion Business Consulting. She excels in situations where achieving results is a priority and has an impactful record of integrating vision, strategy, and culture to build healthy teams that exceed financial goals. Well, that's exciting. We're all going to take a lot of notes, I'm sure. A few of her eye-catching results include developing an educational product that increased revenue 520% in 1 year. That's quite substantial. Influential in growing a manufacturer's revenues 100% in 2 years. Increased a home service business revenue 35% and profits 10% in 24 months. So we're looking forward to hearing all about that. Carmen is curious and enthusiastic difference maker with a passion for helping organizations and people achieve their potential. She specializes in getting everyone on the same page by streamlining the often time-consuming, ineffective, and unprofitable strategic planning and problem-solving processes. Her results system, the GRACE model, offers a better way to results, achieving an average growth of 20% revenue, 30% leadership, and 40% engagement. As Carmen presents, if you have any questions, ladies, please feel free to put your questions in the chat box, and she'll have different times where she'll pause for a moment and we'll answer those questions. Okay, with all that said, Carmen, we're happy to have you, so take it away.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's definitely my pleasure to be here this morning. Such a beautiful, chilly morning in Arizona. I am a native Arizonan, and it's still amazing to me how cold I get every winter. But I just wanted to start by asking everyone to give yourselves a hand, because I like to say to women, we're all virtuous women. And to me, virtuous women are women with a purpose. Virtuous women are women who are capable. Virtuous women are women who know how to motivate others. So can we just take a second? If you don't want to clap for yourself, clap for all your sisters on this call. Just being here today is a virtuous act, I would say. So I'm going to do the share screen and start my presentation. As soon as it catches up, there we go. Okay, so the presentation today is called Motivation and Engagement at Work, and I'm going to spend time on the 3 E's of fair process. I will not jump into those for a few minutes because I want to lay a foundation that gets our mindset and our heart in the right place before we just start feverishly taking notes on what we need to do. I like to take a different approach to that. So if you will just allow me a few minutes here, and I will stop in a few places to take the questions. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here. So my goal today, my number one goal today, ladies, is to share practical advice that helps you increase satisfaction. What is satisfaction? Satisfaction is engagement and motivation. Did you know that the number one factor in increasing satisfaction is your work environment? Your work environment can be considered your culture and your values. Now, pre-COVID, there was data that let us know that it was a max of 30% of employees who were even fully engaged and giving of their best every day. That was pre-COVID, was a max of 30%. So there are no surveys right now to tell us where we are. But did you know that virtual teams, which the majority of us are right now, have 37% higher absenteeism? Virtual teams have 49% more accidents, and virtual teams have 60% more defects and errors. That alone is astounding. So if for those of you who printed out your handouts, please keep them handy, and your next level assessment results, because I will be weaving that information in as soon as we start to give you a little insight on the type of teams and how this plays into this presentation. So I only have one key definition to cover today, and it's a team. And Lisa started with that about teams when she jumped on the call. So this is my favorite definition of a team. There are millions of definitions of a team. My favorite is a team is not a group of people who work together. It's a group of people who trust each other. Whether you are a team of 1,000, a team of 100, or a team of 1, the reality is that you still must develop and maintain trust. So if you're a solopreneur, you must develop and maintain trust with your accountant, with your webmaster, with any part-time support or any virtual assistance that you may have. So I like to tell people that, because many times we think in our mind, well, I don't have a team of 10, I don't have 15 employees. If you are a leader of 1, you still must engender trust with all the people who support you and help support your business. So who am I? Because I like to take the personal approach, and I'm going to be highly recommending that on this call, especially in the times that we're in today. So who am I? Well, I am a daughter, and I am a caregiver to my 83-year-old mother. I am a sister. I have one older sister, and I have one younger sister. I am a mother. I have a 37-year-old son, and I have a 31-year-old daughter. I am a grandmother to 22 and counting. I have my first great-grandchild on the way on Christmas Day. I have been given the title human play toy by my grandchildren because I love to play. I still rip and run with my grandkids. It keeps you young. I'm still processing the fact that I have more than 20 grandchildren. All of those weren't through birth. Many of them were through foster. I am also an avid fisherman. So one of the first things I want to recommend to you ladies is whatever your hobby is or was, please find yourself re-energizing yourself to that hobby in the times that we're in. My father taught me to fish when I was 2 years old, and I still enjoy getting out and fishing. And I call that my put my mask on first activity, because I am taking care of 2 vulnerable adults in my home since my mom's been here for 2 years with me. My sister came this year. My mom has Alzheimer's. My sister has severe asthma. And so since March, we have been on quarantine. And I've had to find those times to get back out, to breathe, and to put my mask on first. Because as virtuous women, we are always doing, as I always tell my 31-year-old daughter, who's raising 7 kids right now, 5 through foster, we're really good at being responsible and taking care of other people. But this is a season that has us recalibrating and reminding ourselves that we need to put our mask on first. And I'm also a doggy mama. I love dogs, and I'm a doggy mama to 2 pit bulls, the breed of dog that I said I would never have. One I took in as a stray, and the other one I went and got from shelter. 2 best dogs I've had thus far in my life. And I'm also her. I am a proud rebel with a cause. I am a rebel with a cause because for 30 years, I've been advocating for the vision. No matter what job title I had in corporate America, what I ultimately did was help teams think through their strategies, establish the right priorities, and work better together. Did you know, ladies, that the #1 giant we face when building our business or building our teams is called status quo? The inertia that comes from, this is how we've always done it, the inertia that comes from the fear of change. Our #1 giant is status quo. And I like to bring that up because King Saul, those of you who remember the story of Goliath, King Saul thought Goliath was too big to fight. David thought Goliath was too big to miss. And I am a rebel with a cause because I believe every honorable vision deserves an honorable pursuit. I am a rebel with a cause because I believe that no one comes to work every day wanting to fail. And just like me, each and every one of you has that alter ego. You are not the same person 24/7. There is a point where you let your hair down. There is a point where you stand for something or you fall for anything. And so my first question I'd like to ask you today, if you'd like to write this on your handouts, my first question is, what's worth fighting for right now? What's worth fighting for? Now, there are many business growth models and tools on the market. I'm sure some of you have seen many of them. You've watched webinars, you've read books, you've Googled, you've seen YouTube videos. And I just wanted to prove a point here, and I'm only going to run through a few of them. This is called the Strategic Management Maturity Model by the Strategic Management Group. And in this model, you can see there are 5 maturity levels of the business. There's 8 different dimensions. This next model is called the Fit for Growth model, and it was developed by PricewaterhouseCoopers. And it's a unique approach to business transformation for sustainable, profitable growth. This model, many of you have seen or known. This is a business or product life cycle where you start from startup and you go through all these different stages. And this is the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Some of you may be familiar with the 5 dysfunctions of a team. By Patrick Lencioni. You start at the bottom layer with trust and you work your way all the way through to results. Now, the point I wanted to make on this slide today, ladies, is that none of these models are necessarily hard in theory, but in practice, it can be another story. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to say enough is enough for all of that. Enough is enough. And right now, and I'm going to do this several times in this presentation, I'm going to give everybody permission to breathe. And I am going to walk you through that. Just stop thinking about anything you may be thinking about. Stop thinking about checking your phone or your emails or the call you have after this call. And for just a quick moment, give yourself permission to breathe. So what I want you to do is to just close your eyes for a second and breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. One more time. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Why did we do that? Because this is not business as usual. We are homeschooling children. My daughter is homeschooling 7 children between the ages of 5 to 14, while also running 2 businesses. And because of the times we're in right now, she is making the very difficult and heart-wrenching choice to shut one of those businesses down because it's too much to try to do right now. We're on Zoom calls all day. That's not normal. We're going home and trying to pay the bills. We're cooking and we're trying to be mentors to children. We're in grocery stores. This is me, being on quarantine since March, to be masking up and wearing gloves and finding the most opportune time to go to the grocery store. And I've become a magnificent supply chain manager, procuring all the medical supplies that my mom needs because I can't just go out and get those the way that I used to do them. And because, as many of you know, once the pandemic hit, supplies were limited and things you normally could go to Walgreens and pick up, you couldn't do anymore. And I had to learn how to start buying in bulk and managing our budget a different way. And I don't know if any of you are like me, but do your clothes breathe when you put them in the hamper? It's like I just did 3 loads of laundry and I go back and there's all these clothes. Ladies, this is not business as usual. We have a new reality in how we do things. And when this pandemic first hit back in Q1 and the shock hit us all, in Q1, it was more like, okay, what do we need to do? Right? Let's gather the troops. What do we need to do? And then in Q2 and Q3, it was kind of like breathing that sigh of relief. Okay, we made it this far, but what now? If we've been fortunate to make it this far, because many businesses haven't been. And then in Q4, there's a minority of teams that are stable enough now to be looking for the opportunity in all of this. Because as we know, challenge is really the flip side of the coin, is really opportunity. Did you know that virtual teams have less trust? It was already waning before the pandemic. Virtual teams have less trust. Virtual teams are prone to miscommunication. It is a byproduct of being virtual. Virtual teams have less cohesion. Why is that? Why don't we have that glue that sticks us together? Because we don't have the water cooler talk. We don't have the quick coffee chat when you're in the coffee room getting a cup of coffee. We don't have the quick pop-ins where you pop into someone's office just to get clarification on an email or, where are you at with this? We don't have the, hey, let's go grab lunch and, do a working lunch session and talk through this at lunch. We don't have that. And most of all, if you're on Zoom meetings all day or the majority of your day, when do you work? I want to give everyone permission to breathe again. Just take a quick breath. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. So here we go, ladies. Your teams, and I'm watching my time. If you see me look away, I like to stay on time. Your team's next level of growth starts with getting back to basics. And this is the foundation of my presentation as we jump into the 3 E's today. Your team's next level of growth starts with getting back to basics. And the basics I'm talking about is empathy. This new normal forces us into a self-focus when we're overwhelmed. It's automatic. It just happens. The reality that every single business today, I don't care what industry you're in or what size you are, every business is in the business of mental health today. I was excited to see last week one of the number one workplace trend from the source that I follow is getting back to mental health. whether that's through apps like Calm, through the rise in meditation techniques. And I'm really excited to see that, because we've been working like robots for so long, trying to climb and grab that brass ring. But the reality is we've got to now take a time out, and we as a business, we as leaders, we as virtuous women, and we have as a nation have got to realize that a rising tide raises all ships. And if so many of us are drowning right now, can we really just really enjoy the pursuit when people on your team are suffering? We should never underestimate the pain of a person, because everybody's struggling. And guess what, ladies? Some of us just hide it better than others do. Did you know that every member of your team, you included, individually processes between 12 to 50,000 thoughts a day? And that's a low end estimate. I've seen sources that say around 60,000 is more accurate. If you've got that many thoughts going on through the course of a day, wow. Here's what I've learned from that in my own business, ladies. I don't get to control how people show up. I don't get to control how my mother shows up every day when she wakes up. I don't control how my sister shows up. I don't control how people show up when we do webinars. I don't control how my clients show up. We don't get to control that. So empathy helps us appreciate who we're working with and what we're working towards together. Why empathy? My biggest point on why empathy is because we don't want to have more goals than we have understanding. We don't want to have more goals than we have understanding. A good example of empathy is my daughter, who I breastfed. She went through all the stress and strain of Thanksgiving and getting the meal just right and getting up early in the morning and cooking the tradition, the status quo of what she normally fixes. And at the end of the day, when my grandchildren called me, the 14-year-old said to me, "Oh, Grandma, that meal was banging." You know how teenagers talk. It was off the chain. That meal was awesome. But ladies, in the quiet of night, I received a phone call, and it gets me choked up every time I talk about it. And I retreated to my restroom, where I have my quiet time away from my mom and my sister, deeply buried in my bedroom, so I could have a talk with my daughter, who I could hear was in tears. And after all of that stress and all of that strain, and even though everyone enjoyed the meal, guess who didn't? She didn't. It was a very stressful day for her. And when she finished and everyone was done and she got them all to bed, she packed up all of that food and she gave it away. Now, she gave it away to people who could really use it, who didn't have the ability to cook. But to get that kind of a call from your daughter on Thanksgiving night, I can tell you it really did something to me. And it drove home the point to me of why I wanted to embed empathy into engagement. So empathy for others actually starts with empathy for ourselves. So I want to remind everyone, we need to get back to the habit of putting our mask on first. I want to give everyone permission to breathe. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I want to check in real quick with Lisa and see, are there any questions that I can answer before I get into the core of the presentation now?
Hey, Carmen, my goodness, there's no questions, but there's a handful of comments. Boy, we are listening on the end of our seats. So this is just so good right now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. So let's keep going. So motivation and engagement fact. People hold back a significant portion of their cooperation and productivity until they have been valued as human beings, not human doings. Woo, that always gets me. On average, this holdback is 40% of a person's capacity. Ladies, this is pre-COVID. And this is by a PhD, Robert Hartman, and he pioneered the science of values as a field of study. Now, I'd like to share that this stat aligns perfectly with the stat that I use in my business. Those of you who had the time to take the next level assessment, there's a statistic that is embedded in that and how I calculate the money that's left on the table. Because we're just talking about, okay, organically, how much more money could our business have? We're not talking about if we were firing on all cylinders and every member of the team was on all cylinders. That's huge. We're talking coming to the table. Harvard Business Review, which is my main source of the statistics I share with you today. Harvard Business Review says that most organizations only achieve 63% of their strategic potential value. That means 37% is automatically on the table. 37% and 47% sounds like a good enough validation to me. That means we are coming at it. Whatever you're seeking, you're coming at it with a reserve of about 40% in effort, 40% in productivity, and 40% of the money that's left on the table. And if everyone was just all on the same page. Did you know, ladies, that 95% of employees don't even understand their company's strategy? 95% don't understand the strategy. And of those who do, which is 5%, half of them don't even think it's the right strategy. Empathy helps us step into a state of service for the next person by leading with the emotional intelligence fact that 90% of behavior is driven by emotion. Can we all do a nod on that? We know that. We like to talk about emotions. Don't bring your emotions to work. Leave it at the table, leave it at the door, do that. But let me tell you something. It's a fact that 90% of our behavior is driven by emotion. Permission to breathe. So here we go. And I just wanted to say to you as I jump into these 3 E's, I want to make 2 key points. They are not mutually exclusive. What I'm going to do today, because we're not in a time of business as usual, I don't want to overload you with things to do. You already saw on your next level assessment, those of you who took it, that it gave you different information already. Your level of readiness to execute effectively. It gives you the type of team. It gives you the point of where your team's not yet optimal. And it gives you 3 best practices. But that can be a lot. So I wanted to use these 3 E's today to give you the time to just step back and breathe and say, okay, where do I need to start based on where my team is? So for those of you who haven't taken the assessment, I invite you to do so after this call while your mind is already on this and while this data that I'm getting ready to give you has practicality and immediate ability to be put to use. So whether you are looking to make your vision tangible, whether you're looking to improve your team performance, whether you're looking to shift your business model, whether you're looking for an exit strategy, this is going to be your starting point today. So here we go with the 3 E's of FAIR process. And again, I'm checking my time. The 3 E's of FAIR process, I came across this 3 years ago in my business, and like any good find as a consultant, when I validated it, I immediately integrated it into my business, and I have seen exponential results from doing so. And I'll share 2 examples of those briefly. But the 3 E's of FAIR process are engagement, explanation, and expectation. FAIR process is a way to tap into your team's brilliance without alienating anyone. Because many times when you try to integrate something new, someone feels alienated, someone feels left out, okay? So why FAIR process? Because we're dealing with empathy, and no one wants to feel like they're just personnel or they're human assets. Why FAIR process? Because we don't want to mistake people's silence for satisfaction, and we don't want to mistake boldness for commitment. I have worked on teams where CEOs have mistaken boldness for commitment, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Why FAIR process? Because the unspoken is dangerous. So 2 quick snippets of stories, and then we will break down each one of these E's. One client I was working with last year, a business owner, she ended up doing a merger with another business, and I won't give away the industry or the company. It seemed like the right thing to do at the time because of where the market was and the synergies that this merger brought. But can I tell you in short fashion that it did not work out well, and it did not work out well within the first 90 days, and she knew it was not working out well. They had different cultures, they had different values, and they did not mix well together. And because I had just gone through this enmeshed self-directed learning on FAIR process, and I connected it to my 30 years of experience in corporate and the high performance teams I led, I learned a different way of approaching with empathy. And so as she shared with me, I believe we were in our third coaching session, and it came to me in that moment. You have those moments that come and you know, oh, this is a turning point moment. And I asked the simple question, how do you want to feel when this is all said and done? How do you want to feel? Because see, like most virtuous women, she shared everything about the team. She shared everything about how the leaders were feeling. She shared about how her two partners were feeling, but she had got lost in that. So empathy helped her to be fair to herself. And what she said honestly on that call after she wiped a couple of tears was, I want to get back to feeling like I got this, because I haven't felt like I got this for the last 4 months. And because of that moment, we were able to use the next 4 weeks of our coaching to get her back in a place to feel like she's got it. And you better believe she's got it now. She restructured her organization and she's back in control, in the sense of she's the lead partner in that business. And the thoughts that she had and the direction she wanted to go mattered, but they took a back seat because she was being so thoughtful of everyone else's needs and never thought about how she wanted to feel. I'll share one more quickly. I worked with a CEO who had been in business for 30 years, and he was now looking for an exit strategy. And he also, when I shared those stats with him about 40% of the money being left on the table, he nodded, because most CEOs know, we're doing 3 million a year, but we should really be at 5. Or we're doing 10 million a year, but we should really be at 14. CEOs intimately know what should be going on in their organization, but they don't always know how to tap into it. And because I had learned more empathy and I listened very well, I came back and I didn't ask him a question. I made a statement that then turned into a question. I said, you do realize that your team is doing things for their reasons, not yours, right? And he asked me to repeat it, and I repeated it again. And that stayed with him, because he was trying to force people to do things for his reasons, but we don't do things for other people's reasons. We do things for our own reasons. So this is where the 3 E's come in. And so now here we go. Engagement. So ladies, those of you who took the assessment, let me grab your attention quickly. Those of you who took the assessment and your result was accountable but reactive, or more deciding than leaping, this is your E to grab a hold to. This is where you start. And for each one of these E's, I'm going to give you a personal to do and a team to do. Okay, and I will recap these on my last slide. So for now, accountable but reactive, more deciding than leaping, this is your E to start with. So engagement. Engagement is an act of determining things and feelings that teammates perceive about the culture. So let me get into the details here. Engagement, the belief with engagement is that collective wisdom creates exponential results. That's got to be the belief. It feels like leadership respects us and our points of view. It looks like actively seeking input. It's about teamwork, making dreams work, not just one dream, making all dreams work. And the result is better strategic decisions and genuine commitment. So here's your personal to do if this is your E. Your personal to do is to ask more open-ended questions. Be vulnerable. An example. Did you know that just changing one question that we all ask all the time can help you get started here? And that question we always ask is, how are you? We always ask that question. But the reality is no one's going to tell you I had a breakdown last night, or I had a fight this morning, or my kids are working my last nerves. They're not going to tell you that unless you're really close friends, right? And then there's not a whole lot you can do about it. So simply changing that one question, let me give you a few examples of how you can immediately change that question and see results. How about asking, what did you do this week that you loved? How about asking, tell me a highlight of your day? How about asking, what's something that you're excited about? How about asking, what's been keeping you busy? And I'll give you one more. What have you learned about yourself lately? Replace the how are you with just one of those and see a change. Now here's your team to do. Reassess the company vision and mission. Doesn't mean you're going to rewrite it. It means just reassess it. Go look at it. Does it still fit? And then develop department mission statements that define winning for that department. Reassess the vision and mission. Does it still fit? And then develop department mission statements for each department. Allow each department to develop their mission statement. And that mission statement must define winning for that department. What does winning look like for that department? Because the truth is, winning is the only path to sustainability. Any questions on this before I move into the next E? Good to go? Okay. The next E is explanation. Why explanation? Did you know that only 30% of employees trust their employer to communicate openly and honestly? Let me use a different word, to be transparent. Only 30% of the people on the team expect the leader or the CEO, whatever term you want to use, that business owner, only 30% trust them to be transparent. Why explanation? Because only 32% feel informed about the company's values. They may be on the website. I've seen teams where they're on the wall, but it doesn't mean that people actually live up to them. So explanation. And for those of you, your team type is got it going on, which is always very few, but there are some. This is your fair process E. If you are a got it going on team, your number one job is to maintain that morale. And this is your E. Explanation will help you maintain morale. So explanation, the belief is that it's important for everyone to understand why, not just a few. It feels like leadership is impartial in decision making. Explanation looks like explaining the rationale of final strategic decisions, why we're going in this direction. It's about values and trust. And explanation, the result is that it builds team confidence and it creates feedback. It creates an automatic feedback loop when you start explaining things. Then people feel that they can be vulnerable enough to let their guard down and ask some questions. Because if there's no feedback loop, you have a lot of people who are job motivated and they're coming to work to get a paycheck, but they're not really fully in it to help you grow the organization. So again, if your team type is got it going on, this is your E. So the personal to do here is to appreciate yourself. Take a moment to appreciate yourself and all the sacrifices you've made. And I say that because sometimes we need to just take a step back and celebrate ourselves. It helps you move into that position of vulnerability, because when you appreciate all those sacrifices, you realize other people are making sacrifices too. The team to do here is to establish new meeting rhythms. When I say meeting rhythms, I recommend at least 3 meeting types. Number 1, a daily huddle. So if you've got a team that's got, more than one, I recommend a daily huddle. It's becoming famous now, coffee, catch up, or whatever they call it, coffee chat, no more than 10 minutes. If it turns into 10 minutes, that's a whole different kind of meeting. A huddle's like 10 minutes. This is what I'm working on today. It gives you a chance to look people in the face or hear their voice. They get to share what's their number one priority. If anything came up, you can discuss it at that time, as opposed to spending emails back and forth, which drains people. That's one meeting. I recommend a weekly departmental meeting, and I also recommend a monthly cross-functional team meeting at a minimum. So the team to do here is to add in a brainstorming meeting. Add in a brainstorming meeting. And in your first brainstorming meeting, what you're doing is simply identifying what's been going well. So many times people don't enjoy meetings because they're not productive, they get off track, or they're vent sessions. But the reality is people on your team have ideas, but if they don't feel that they can share them in an environment where they will be respected and appreciated, they won't. So hold a brainstorming session and find out what's been going well. And let me take that one step further. You're finding out what's been going well so that now you can engage them and dig deeper to find the small changes that can create a snowball effect over time. Remember, 95% of the people on the team don't even understand the strategy. Any questions on this E before we move forward, Lisa?
Yes, there's one question from Allison, and she asked, how do you know what your E is?
How do you know what your E is?
What your
We're
E is?
merging that with the team type. So
I think she means between engagement, explanation, and expectation.
right, I'm tying those E's to the team type results. So has Allison taken the next level assessment result, the next level assessment?
Allison, if you can let, oh, she said yes.
Okay, so for the first E, which was engagement, if you have an accountable but reactive or more deciding than leaping, that's your E to start with. If your team was got it going on, then you start with this E, explanation. And now we're going to get into the last one, which is expectation. And this E is for the too much going on team type. Did that answer your question, Allison?
Yes.
Okay. So for expectation, I'm checking my time. Okay. Did you know that only 6% of employees know their own priorities? Only 6% know their own priorities. What do you mean by that, Carmen? I'm not talking about the organization's priorities. I'm not talking about the department's priorities. I'm talking about their individual priorities. I'm not even talking about their job description. It does start with a job description. But do they know every day, every week, every month when they come to work what their priorities are? Statistics say only 6% know their own priorities. So expectation, and I added the word clarity because this is about clarity of expectation. So again, if you got the result too much going on, or for those of you who haven't taken it yet, and if you do, you get too much going on as your team type, this is your first E to focus on, is expectation clarity. What's the belief? The belief here is that the journey is as important as the goal. It feels like leadership wants everyone to succeed. It looks like clearly stating the rules of the game. Have you ever been on teams, ladies, and you feel like you don't even know what the rules of the game were until something goes haywire? And I can tell you there are a lot of teams that I've worked with where employees feel that way. They don't run and tell the CEO that, but they feel like they only learn the rules of the game when they do something wrong. Oh, now I understand what the rules of the game are. It's about accountability. We want people to be accountable, come to work and being accountable. Well, there's some things we need to do to get to accountability. And the result is that confusion is eliminated and everybody is focused. Okay, so here's your personal to-do for expectation clarity. Confirm your personal why. Confirm your personal why. Do you know your personal why? My personal why is to make a significant impact. I don't care if that's personally, I don't care if it's professionally. That's my why, is to make a significant impact. It used to be only in business, but when I became primary caregiver for my mother, I had to find value and I had to find worth in making a significant impact in her life. So confirm your personal why, and then identify the number one thing you're best at or should be best at in your company. And this is huge for many CEOs, many team leaders. When they take a moment to identify what's the number one thing I should be best at, because that's where you learn how to start delegating. Okay. The team to do for this E is in a new weekly departmental meeting. Connect each role to the vision and allow each member to share what's most hindering their effectiveness in their role. Let me say that again. Your team to do with expectation clarity is in a weekly departmental meeting, connect each role to the vision. Clearly make the connection between how this role aids the vision of this organization and allow each member in that department to share what's hindering their effectiveness in their role. Too many times we focus on weaknesses instead of really allowing people to share what it is that's hindering them from being effective. So again, if your team type was too much going on, this is your fair process E. And I want to say again, I'm just trying to give you a simple place to start, but all three of these are fair game in strategic planning, teamwork. But I just wanted to take a moment for us to breathe today and say, Carmen, just give me one place to get started. Okay. So now I'm going to share a few insights and I'm going to recap this for you. Insights from this vision advocating, status quo breaking rebel. Number one insight is that building the people who build your business, who build your team, is an investment. You cannot view it as a cost. We don't even have time to go into how much it costs to fire and replace and all of that. Doesn't mean that you don't need to do that sometimes, but sometimes you've already invested so much in people that it's time to make the investment so that you get that compounded result. Okay. So why build the people who build the business? Why is it an investment? Simple. Because a satisfied person always does more than what's expected. Always do more. I have 2 pit bulls. When they're satisfied, I mean, I just give them an extra biscuit and they're satisfied. They even mind better that day. I mean, so if my dog can be appreciated, we can certainly look at the people we work with and say, you know what? That's true, Carmen. A satisfied anything always does more than what's expected. My number 2 insight is that you must intentionally focus on bridging the gap between people and purpose. Bridging the gap between people and purpose for the team to do things for your reasons. Just telling people to do it's not going to cut it. So let me give you an example. What do I mean? Because it don't mean a thing if it don't have that zing. How do we positively impact? How do we bridge that gap between people and purpose? I'll give you a couple of ways. They need to feel like they're positively impacting society. They need to feel like they're positively impacting customers. They're positively impacting the department. They're positively impacting themselves. They're positively impacting the company itself. That was 5 different areas. It doesn't mean it has to be all 5, just one of them. I either feel that I'm positively impacting society by being here and being a part of this mission, or I feel like I have a way to positively impact our customers, or my department, or myself, or the company itself. My number 3 insight, trust and healthy conflict. Another word for healthy conflict is respectful disagreement. That's your bedrock. You will not get away from that in growing your business. Here's a term I like to give people, and I believe it was Jeff Bezos at Amazon that made this famous and brought it mainstream. Disagree and commit. Disagree and commit. You have to get people who disagree with the direction or disagree with this to at least agree to be accountable, to commit to what we're working towards anyway. Because if you don't, what you have are saboteurs or people who sit on the sideline and they disrupt later because you know why? They say, I told you so, told you it wasn't going to work. So you have to weave into your culture, disagree and commit. We can talk about it after we've done the project. And anytime I do a presentation, I always have an afterthought I need to add, and I'm going to add that afterthought here. I have a new number 4, which is the sum of all 3. And my new number 4 insight is it's not emotions, but assessment that gets you from point A to point B. It's not emotions. It's assessment that gets you from point A to point B. What do I mean by that? I don't care if it's about personality or behavior assessments. Many of us as leaders, we've done a multitude of Colby's and DISC and Myers-Briggs, even the next level assessment that some of you took already and some of you hopefully will take after this call. It's not emotions, but assessment. Why do I say that? Because all of your doing has to start with understanding. If we're going to run off and do something, I got to have an understanding of what I'm going to do. So it's not emotions, but it's assessment that helps you move from A to B. Any questions here as I wrap this up? Okay, so here's the wrap up, ladies. Everybody permission to breathe before I wrap us up. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. So what's next? So I'll recap for you what we covered. So this is my screenshot of my website for those who haven't taken the assessment, and you can see that big yellow arrow. That's where you click to get that complimentary next level assessment. Usually takes about 5 minutes if you stay focused and just get it done. It's a very quick task. And the purpose of the design was to to help your mind start thinking about where you are as you're answering those questions. So here's what you will see for those of you who haven't taken it and for those of you who do. There are 14 types programmed into this assessment. There's got it going on, accountable but reactive, too much going on, more deciding than leaping. So again, I want to say, even though you received recommendations, best practice recommendations, I'm saying this is not business as usual right now. So I want you to start with the E that we pointed out for you before you worry about those best practice recommendations. You've got your E with your personal and your team to do. So as a recap, for the Got It Going On team, your E was explanation. For accountable but reactive, your E was engagement. For too much going on, your E was expectation. And for the more deciding than leaping, your E is engagement. One other key point that you received, it's a quick sentence that comes after your team type. It says your team is not yet optimal, and it gives you an area. There are 4 different areas. Your team is not yet optimal in either business choices, organization, priorities, or rhythm. Now, the only team that doesn't receive this is if you're a Got It Going On team. If you're a Got It Going On team, you won't see this statement about not yet optimal. But for the rest of us, I actually take this assessment twice a year for myself. So if your not yet optimal area was business choices, that's about how to compete. That's about strategy. You're not yet optimal in your strategy. If your not yet optimal area was business organization, that's about creating order and defined relationships. If your not yet optimal area was priorities, this is about putting people first. If it said not yet optimal in business priorities, start with the E that related to your team type and then move to those other 2 E's, because that will get you back to putting people first. And if your not yet optimal area was business rhythms, you start by improving communication by building trust and addressing conflict. How do you do that? Feedback meetings. Get feedback. Instead of it being about what's going wrong, make it about what we've learned and how can we adapt. What have we learned and how can we adapt? So ultimately, I commend you all for being here and making the time today. And I just want to remind everybody that we all need to embrace the process on our way to our goal. We don't want to have more goals than we have understanding. Keep your eyes on the prize. Permission to breathe. Any final questions or comments?
Yes, thank you so much. There was one last comment from Denise, and it says, will these assessments change over time? And when is the right time to reevaluate?
They do change over time. I take them twice a year for myself, and I've changed because you're growing and you're implementing and adapting. So I would say the right time is after you've given yourself at least 3 months, a minimum of 90 days of actively working on your E. Mm-hmm. At least 90 days.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, there's comments coming in. Thank you. Thank you. This has been great. For me personally, I'll tell you, I think I could listen to you all day. I could listen to you all day. And I think I just want to hit the repeat of, gosh, can I just listen to this over? So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah, that was really, really great. And if we could go back, I can't do this on my side, but maybe you or Carly, if we could go back to full gallery, would be super.
Oh, I need to stop sharing, I think.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
There we are. Oh my gosh. Are there any other questions, ladies, that you want to ask while we've got this just queen with us today? Okay. So again, Carmen, thank you so much. It's been such a privilege. You, like I said, I think we could all raise our hands. We would love you in our living room or at our dinner table, just asking you tons of questions. So
you're very welcome. I want to say thank you again for the opportunity to just share and give back. And if there's any question you had you didn't want to ask or any follow-up, please feel free to send me an email. I'm more than happy to spend some time.
Okay. Well, happy holidays to you and your mother and your sister and My goodness, all those grandchildren. I thought, how can she have so many grandchildren? She's so young, right? So young and 2 kids. So all good. Thanks again. So ladies, it's December 2020. Looking forward to 2021, right? So jumping right in there. So as we do every single session, we've picked a couple of names to do your 30-second commercial. So our first is Denise Lavorne. So where's Denise? If you can, yay for Denise. If you can give us your 30-second business pitch.
Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. I'm Denise Lovern. I'm the owner of the Petite Beauty Suite, and my goal is to be your beauty care partner. So if you have issues with your skin, we can do customized skincare focused treatment, hair removal, and makeup. Denise with the Petite Beauty Suite.
Thank you so much. Good to see you again. And then our second commercial is Samantha Alvarez.
Oh, wow. Oh, hi. Well,
Hi.
I'm Samantha Alvarez. I work in staffing and recruiting, and I'm just new to the Gilbert Chandler area. So I wanted to pop in and see kind of what was going on with this event. So this is actually my first chamber event. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, welcome. So I'll talk just a little bit at the end about how you can get involved with all of these lovely ladies that you're seeing on the screen, get to know them a little bit better. So welcome. And then our last little prize, it's a gift certificate actually from Denise, who you heard speak first, and that's going to go to Megan O'Hara. Where's Megan? Where's Megan?
Oh, sorry guys, I'm on mute.
Oh, okay. Hey, well, congratulations. So you won
Thank you.
a gift certificate. So I'm sure Denise will connect with you there. So congratulations.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, and let's see, final prize. So thank you for today. It's yeah, I'm just going to go off script again. Poor Carly always goes, oh my gosh, she's doing it again. But ladies, thank you. It's been quite a year, hasn't it? So like I said, our speaker today, we could have taken any one of those nuggets that she gave us. I was just writing down so much, but my takeaway that I'll leave with you, and then Carly, actually Debbie, I'll hand it over to Debbie to give a date for our next session in January 2021. But for me, a couple of the beginning takeaways. I love the fact that she did give yourself permission to breathe, right? Crazy year for all of us. And it reminded me, I was on another somewhat coaching call this morning, that this time that we're in, although it seems like so long, that I feel like we're in the middle of it, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So if you ever think like you're in the midst of all of it, just know that there's light at the end. And then this is not business as usual. So take care of yourselves, okay? So thank you. And again, I want to go back to the Women in Leadership Committee. Thank you. It's been an honor and pleasure to serve you all. And now I will toss it over to Debbie, your new chair.
Thank you, Lisa. We appreciate all your leadership in 2020. So thank you. This has been great programming for 2020. And as we look to 2021, our next meeting will be on January the 19th. So you will be getting some correspondence from that. And again, we're open to you looking at the surveys and providing us input as to what's important to you for programming for 2021. So I look forward to working with each and every one of you. And a big thank you to Lisa and to the team who helped us throughout 2020. And we look forward to working with you in 2021.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, ladies, thank you, Debbie. Happy holidays, ladies, and blessings to you all. Reach out to any of us, right? And I did want to speak to, not to override Debbie, but I did want to speak to especially our newest gals. Raise your hands if you're new, if this is like your first or second time, or if this is your first time. Okay, welcome, 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 ladies. There is just a ton for you to get involved in. So go to chandlerchamber.com and pop on to their calendar. Most everything is virtual right now. I know that we did a couple of hybrids in the last couple of months, but with things kind of ticking up, or I think maybe there's a couple that are taking a pause on that, but all of that information will be there. I would say that every woman on the screen that has been around for a little bit of time will tell you getting involved. All of us are super engaging, want to help, want to see you succeed, but the only way you're going to do that is make that first step, right? So if you want to reach out to any of the women on the Women in Leadership Committee, or to Carly, want to raise your hand, Carly, reach out to Carly at the chamber. She can kind of help you and guide you. And then also there is the Crystal King, I'm just kind of pointing at you. So what is the other committee?
I'm one of the chamber ambassadors.
So the Chamber Ambassador Committee also can really point you in the right direction. So get involved, right? Most of it, again, is online. So I'm going to leave you with blessings. Make sure to breathe like our speaker told us today. And it's always good to see you. See you next month.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Lisa.
Welcome.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye-bye.